Couple of good breaths, our body's relaxing. We're settling into this moment, into this space, into this time. So as we're sitting here, letting these deep breaths continue to flow through our body, the intention I'd like us to start thinking about for our class today is the inspiration of the moon. It's getting to be about that month of that time of the full moon. And so sometimes that's a nice physical indication that we can see or experience in the nighttime to help us realize, okay, we've done another shift. The moon has done another shift to bring us back to that point. And so our idea today is to listen to our inspiration, to that inner knowing, to help give us a focus for this next month that we're going through. So give us maybe one word or one thought or one experience, something to inspire us, to help us do things in that slightly different way this month than we've always been doing. It's like we're breaking our program just a little bit and throwing that extra focus in. So all you're doing is you're moving through classes trying to listen for that inspiration. What is my focus this month? What would it like to be? So with that idea to help lead us on, let's begin some of our nice initial stretches. The very first thing that we're going to do is actually our banana shape because it looks very much like the moon. So what I want us to do is cross the right ankle over left and then like scoop off that left side. And then up above our head, grab onto right wrist and scoop the shoulders off to that left side. So we're kind of creating a crescent moon shape off to that left side. Now you get to choose already, am I passive or am I active here? So active would be pushing against ankle and wrist connections. You can deepen the experience that way. Passive is also sometimes nice. That's all we need at some points in our day. So you consciously choose, how is this moon happening for me? Good. One more deep inhale. And a nice exhale will help us release through the center. Let's shift our weight to the other side. So left ankle over right, legs to the right. Up above our head, grab onto left wrist and scoot shoulders off to the right. And so again, passive or active, balance it off to what you did on the other side. And perhaps think about here, one side, when the light of the moon is on one side, that could be waxing or it could be waning. So is your light growing lighter and lighter every day? Or is it growing darker and darker? Not that dark is bad. Dark can be that calm, reflective period where we have more internal focus. So where are we in our life right now? Are we waxing or are we waning? Another good breath in, and out. Good. As we start to release, let's come back through the center of the mat. We're hugging both knees into the chest. We can introduce a couple of little movements for the low back or the hips. Just easy things that help our sacrum or help that low back. Beautiful. Left leg can relax all the way long to the ground as we're hugging around this right knee. Just feel how it wants to be introduced close to that shoulder. Feel how deeply it's willing to go. So then a few rounds here, opening the right knee to the right, and then lift it back up, cross it over to the left. Go 2 more wide and across. And then this last one will ease our way into a nice little twist. But you get to be conscious about this. So if you kind of pause at that halfway point, it focuses the intensity of the stretch more on the IT band and the hip. So that could be where you're at today. Or maybe you're continuing to progress deeper and deeper through the spine, getting into the more of the spinal rotation. So you get to choose, find that perfect spot to just be. That's one of those things about the quality of the moon, is that it's not necessarily that much more active. It does rotate around the sky, but its light doesn't come from within, it comes from the reflection from without. So it's a very different quality than the heat and the intensity of the sun. It simply is, and by being there, is able to reflect out light. So sometimes how do we feel like maybe we take on too much activity, too much motion? And how can we just reflect the light sometimes instead? Like not needing to be the center of the attention all the time. Good. So when the hip goes back to the floor, let's stretch that right leg up to the sky. We can clasp off the back side of the thigh or the calf. Give it a good tug. We're still warming up first thing in the class. And then let's let this leg do 5 rounds of bicycles. So just this one leg. When we release the hand, the straight leg goes to hover right above the ground. Bend the knee in, give it a brief hug. Extend it up to the sky, tug it in so you at least get that stretch for a moment, and then release it all the way to hover above the ground. Let's repeat that 4. And a little hug, a tug, and drop. 3. 2, and it's okay if you're faster or slower than me. And 1. When this one drops down, just let it rest. Feel how much warmth and activity came, but it wasn't necessarily from difficulty. And so let's start to take this left knee inward now. Practicing on that side, give it a hug. The knee starts to go out wide. And eventually it comes up and across. Know that you don't have to go the full way. Good. Repeating. 2. As we get to this last one, remember you don't have to force the twist. You can just pause for the hip area if that's where the best possible stretch is. You could also continue to progress deeper, moving your way up the spine if you like it there. Personal preference and a tremendous amount of listening. Okay, when the hip returns back to the earth, leg up to sky, grab on wherever you can easily reach. Letting the legs still have lots of extension. And then let's work through our 5 cycles here. So release, let it hover right above the ground. Knee in, give it a hug. Up to the sky, tug. Repeating 4. 3. Hugs and tugs. 2. As you release that last time, give it a chance to be resting on the floor. Just feel how lively that leg is. Good. So now as it gets toward the full moon time of the month, the hunting activity of animals actually increases at night because they can see more. So there's a lot more predator activity. So with this full moon starting to come up, let's add just a little bit more activity to what we were just doing. Hands can rest on the floor. What we're doing is full bicycles. So right knee in, right leg up, feel that stretch for a moment. And then as you start to lower, the second knee comes in, extends up, feel the stretch, and then start to lower. In, up, these nice slow motion bicycles. If you're up for a challenge, you could increase the speed, but try to make sure you're pausing at least enough that up at the top you can feel that hamstring with a little bit of extension. It's not super rushed, but we are giving permission for more activity. Know that you don't have to drop all the way to the floor before you start to bend it back in. Just choose that appropriate angle that feels good. And sometimes if I've got hip bones popping, I'll just pause right at that angle that's a little bit higher. So if you're still doing okay, let's do another 2 to each side. When you finish that one, we'll start to work our way up towards sitting so we can roll like a ball and rock back. If you'd like to make this harder, keep the legs straighter the whole time. Grabbing up more by the ankles. Good. When we ultimately are up, let's pause in both poses, whether legs are straight or more bent. Trying to free out the hands. Imagine that you're rowing a boat, so you're rowing to one side and then rowing to the other side. Again, these can be bent or straight. It's like we're taking a nice moonlight paddle across the lake. Here's 3, 2, 1. And then imagine you got to your perfect spot as we're heading to cobbler's pose. You get to peek up and over the edge of the boat, relaxing forward. So imagine we've reached that one of those spaces with bioluminescence. And so every time a gentle wave comes in, it makes those bioluminescent algae wiggle around, making it light up in a brilliant blue color. But that blue color is only visible in this nighttime. So just imagine with every breath coming in and out, it's like that wave, that extra consciousness, revealing the beauty of that bioluminescence. Starting to rise up, plant your right hand to the right, lift the left hand up and over. Make sure hip doesn't lift though, so only go that far. And feel Nice and deep. It's as if our hand is kind of creating that crescent moon shape again, reminding us of that beautiful focus upward. Good. Rising up, switch it out, second side. And rising up again, pick up the knees. Let's send the legs underneath us. Let's allow our spine permission to wiggle. Up and down. Feel all sorts of muscle groups that are engaging and then disengaging. Stretched and then contracted. Good. So from here, drop down to elbows. We'll take a nice dolphin pose. So I like to make sure first that I'm setting up my elbows in the right spot. I'm hugging my fingers around the elbows. As long as I can wrap my fingers, that means that I'm not going too wide. So then once I release from that elbow clasp, one hand makes a fist in front of me, the other hand hugs around the fist. And then tucking my toes, I lift up my hips like a down dog. And then I walk my toes in without setting head on the ground. This brings us to a little bit more core strength and also nice strengthening for the shoulders. So our goal here is just going to be to hold for as long as it feels like we still have this control over our breath. The moment it starts to get too difficult, that's like that moon phase. We need to just drop down to child and just rest. You're still steady and strong. Let's take 3 more breaths. Take a child if you're not there already. That dolphin's a little bit more active. It's like we've reflected the sun very brightly. And this child pose is super passive. It's more like that new moon. Just let yourself enjoy this introspective moment. Walking hands off to the right side of the mat. It's as if we're creating that crescent moon shape again. Off to the other direction. Are we waxing or are we waning? Beautiful. Returning onto our mat. Let's take our way up to downward facing dog. A couple of wiggles for the spine. Wiggles for the knees, wiggles for hips. Whole body just getting set up very nicely in this shape. You're welcome to stay as long as it still feels helpful for your body, this first one. At some point sooner or later, we'll feel ready to make our way up to the top of the mat. No rush to get there, just when you're ready. Next inhale will help us rise. Good. So hands at the heart, drop the left hand to left thigh, right hand up and over. And rising up, second side. Good, rising up, circle both arms up to the sky. Inhale, exhale a nice forward fold. A half lift upward, long spine. Then fingertips downward, just the right foot lunges to the back of the mat. Drop that right knee down. The sinking hips forward, a couple of breaths here. Depending on what phase of the moon your body is in, imagine perhaps you keep the hands down to the floor if we're more in a new moon state, or we can twist that left hand up to the sky if we're more in a full moon state. It's good to choose. Good, hands down to the floor, walk ourselves up to the thigh. Continuing to sink hips forward, arms float up. If you'd like to continue to head slightly backward like a crescent moon, that can be beautiful. Just one more inhale. And exhale, the front leg straightens, drop hands to the floor. That nice stretch for front leg. Good. Take this left knee underneath you. You can go into a nice kneeling plank unless you want full. And then lower strongly down to the earth. A mini cobra. Doesn't feel like it has to be super deep. And then child. Rising torso up, and then up to high kneeling position. Circle arms up to sky. Good. And then dropping hands to the floor. Now we're stepping right foot forward. Sinking hips forward, one on each side. One hand on each side. This is that point. New moon is hands on floor. Full moon, right arm to sky. You choose. Good. Lower the hand down if you lifted it, and then we're working our way up toward the crescent. So hand up to the thigh, hips sink forward, floating upward, maybe backward. Nice inhale. And exhale, front leg straightens, drop the hands down, let it rest. As this leg starts to come back, you can either go straight to child or take that modified flow again. Plank or kneeling plank, little lowering. Moment with the back bend. Then resting child. Back up to dolphin, elbows down. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Walk in as much as you have that flexibility and strength for. You can just simply stay here, or if you want just a slight bit more activity, right leg lifts up to sky and touches down. Left leg lifts up to sky and touches down, your choice. Again, it's more or less to that point where we feel like the breath is starting to lose control, or until I tell you to come down. Either way, you got options. Still doing good, about 3 or 4 more breaths. Finishing those down to child when you're ready. Feel how easeful the breath is flowing in, with the heart so much more active. Good, so torso up, back up to high kneeling. Circle arms up to sky, hands to heart. Right leg slides open to right side. Right hand on that right leg slides down. Left hand makes that crescent moon up and over. Rising up, continue to cartwheel that left hand to the ground, right on that left side. If you're doing okay, float right toes, kneeling half moon. Maybe 5 circles to each direction with that straight leg. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold still or find the toes in that right hand behind your back. If you find that, push into the back bend. So toes push into hand, like we're creating the shape of a moon right behind us. Good. Open back up, half kneeling, half moon. Foot to floor, rise up. Tucking toes behind us, left hand to that heel, right hand up and back. And lowering all the way down toward elbows. If you want to ease your way a little closer to the straight leg, that's great also. Up onto hands, a moment with that IT band shift, so circle this right leg around to the other direction, push the hips to the right, gaze over the left shoulders and toes. Good. Returning back down, up to the high kneeling position, circle arms to sky, hands to heart. Left leg slides open, left hand down, right hand up and over. Crescent moon. Up. Kneeling half moon, right hand to the floor. If this is doing okay, maybe 5 little circles each direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, reverse. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe hand to foot behind our back. Pushing for a slight circular shape. And release the foot back to the floor. Rising up. Tuck our back toes. Right hand to that right heel, left hand up and back. And returning all the way down toward elbows. You can ease in just a little bit if that's bringing closer to the straight leg brings you a bit deeper to your toes. And back up to hands, circle the leg to the other side. Pushing hip to left, gaze over right shoulder. And release. This will be another down dog for as long as it feels helpful until you're ready to head up to the top. The top if you're not there already. One more breath in. Out. Inhale, rise. Good. Hands to heart. Right hand at right side, left hand up and over. And up. Switching out. And up. Balancing on left foot, try to take the right ankle to left thigh. You bend the standing leg, it creates a shelf, helping it to stay. So this could be a higher balance or maybe a lower balance, lowering elbows down or fingers to floor. You choose the appropriate level. Lifting up, we're floating this right knee in front for a moment. Take it back, but then cross it to the left. So it's going off that left side of the mat. From here, right hand up to sky. Left hand grabs the right wrist and then continues to fold that left side. An even deeper crescent moon shape being created through our whole body. Good. Release. Let's step back up to the top. Second side, standing on right foot, left ankle up. Trying to find the balance, even if we're up almost at the beginning, or if we're going all the way down, fingers to floor. One more breath, in and out. Rising with balance, this left knee floats in front. Get back for a moment to cross past that right side off the mat. Once we're there, grab onto left wrist and pull it off to the right. Huge crescent shape. Beautiful. Release. Step back up to the top. Floating right thigh up into tree pose. Imagine we're a huge tree. There's a tiny little jungle all around us. And we're getting to see this night activity, getting to see things on this full moon that we might not see at other times. Beautiful. So from here, dropping these right toes to the outside of the right foot through the front this time. So it's propping us up from there. From here, left hand slides down that left thigh, right hand up and over in a beautiful crescent shape. And then as the torso rises up, kick this leg out in front of us, muscularly lifting it. Swing it under and through warrior 3. Gentle step to warrior 1, hands float up. And rotate open warrior 2. A few rounds going back and forth, front elbow down, the other arm arcing like the moon. And then return up, reverse. Like we're alternating between waxing and waning. So 2 more cycles each. Last one. And coming up through warrior two, straighten front leg. Shift that left hand forward to drop it down. Right hand to sky triangle. Imagine those fingertips are trying to reach up for the moon. Energetically sending our thoughts, our attention up. Rising up. From here, preparing for a nice half moon pose. You can maybe shorten the stance a hair, maybe cartwheel directly into it. Going to take that full half moon. And feeling as steady as possible. Maybe steady like the moon, just slowly traveling across the sky. Everything drops down to forward fold. Feel the muscles of the back relax. Inhale to rise. Hands to heart. Tree pose, left foot comes up. Watching over the day, seeing that activity. Watching over the night, seeing a whole different life start to happen. Drop this left foot, crossing in front. Right hand on right thigh slides down, left hand up and over. Up. Kick that leg forward. Good, sweep through warrior three. Gentle land warrior one, arms float. Rotate open warrior two. 3 cycles. Drop the front elbow down, the other arm reaches to that crescent. And up. Two. And one. Warrior two when you get there. And straighten front leg, triangle, reach fingers forward, and drop to shin, top hand up, tickling the sky. Rising up. Maybe shortening stance to cartwheel to half moon. And dropping down, forward fold. I'll rise. Hands to heart. Taking right ankle to left thigh. Just a brief moment, sinking down to balance. And then up. Cross this right leg back off that left side of the mat behind. Reach up, grabbing right wrist. Pull to the left. And then adjusting as we release, we adjust the foot stance, turning directly open, goddess pose. Good. So from here, legs straighten, arms reach up to sky, and knees bend, arms down. Reaching up, straighten legs, arms down, lower. Taking another 3. 2. 1. Drop hands to thigh. We're pushing the thighs even wider. Bring the toes forward, straighten the legs, bow down. Bending the knees, rise up. Turn the front toes forward. We're shifting to balance on that front left foot. Right hand tries to grab right toes from behind. Quad stretch for a moment, so if you don't feel that, scoop tailbone under. And it'll be up to you to know how your balance is doing today. If this is enough challenge, great. You want to try to move into half moon pose with the foot clasp like this. So try to anchor that left hand down and then stack the hips open. Good little challenge, open the arm and foot, and then try to balance back up to stand. Beautiful. So second side, we've got ourselves standing on right foot, left ankle up. Brief little squat down. Coming up. Look the left knee, step it behind off that right edge. Once you're there, grab left wrist, lean it to the right. Release, readjust the stance to goddess. And straightening the legs, the arms float up. Inhale, and then exhale, bend knees, arms drop down toward thighs. Inhale up, exhale lower. Taking another 3. 2. 1. Hands to thighs, push it open. And then straightening legs, turn toes forward, maybe hand clasp as we bow forward. Rising up. The front toes turn forward. We shift our weight onto that right foot, trying to grab left in our left hand. Okay, if it takes a moment to get balance, that's good. Sometimes tailbone needs to scoop under to increase the stretch. If balance is okay and you want to try for that half moon variation, right fingers go downward. Otherwise, just stay in that good stretch. Release the clasp, half moon, and that'll be easier to float up. Good, stepping the foot down, circle arms up to sky, maybe a slight back bend. Forward fold all the way down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, lower hands down, step the feet backward and lower down toward the elbows, dolphin. This is the last challenge of the day in dolphin, so all the way to elbows. So you can stay in version 1, stillness. You can go to version 2, lifting one leg up and down at a time. Or version 3, lift a leg up with momentum. Trying to go toward that kick. This will be up to you when you drop down to child. That last little challenge. Just pay attention to your breath. The moment it gets too hard, take the child, don't feel shame. Consciously slow breath. And then we'll take a pigeon pose. You can head to this from kneeling or from down dog. We'll end up with right leg forward and through. Dropping down toward elbows. Let things really slow down. After the full moon passes, it's back toward the darkness, getting less and less light through the night each time, each day that passes, until eventually we've got the darkest night of the month. Begin to shift to second side, so you can go through down dog or through kneeling. Your own rate, sending left leg through. So from this introspective state, the beautiful chance to check in with yourself, heading toward this next month. Is there anything different that I'd like to do with my time, my focus, with my energy? They're just a thought I'd like to carry around a little bit more frequently. Oftentimes people wait until a new year to create changes for themselves. But why not do it every single month? The moon being our reminder, gently and persistently up in the sky. As we start to head out of this side, this will be that last little bit of time before Shavasana. So take any beautiful recovery poses you need, and even any additional poses at all that just feel good for the body. We're preparing to head toward that restful state. Full couple of minutes if needed. There's no rush. This is on your time scale. Still no rush if you're moving around still, nothing at all. If you're heading toward your Shavasana, At that point, just let your breath take over, letting yourself rest in this quiet peace that prevails, that peace that helps us to better hear and understand our intuition. Here, begin to deepen inhales and exhales. Introducing little movements back to fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Stretching out like we're waking up first thing in the morning. In a beautiful fetal position when we feel ready. And enjoy a few more breaths, maybe 3 or 4, until you feel at that point just ready to rise sooner or later. As we find our hands joining together in front of our hearts, we listen to this intuitive knowing. It's almost like waking up from a dream. We realize we have to remember the dream right away and maybe jot it down, otherwise it's fleeting. So almost like that dream, was there any intuitive knowing, this intuitive sense of what we can do with our energy, with our thoughts over the next month? So with this, all of this to help lead us on, let's wrap up the time we got to share together today with the sound of Om. Deep inhale now. May we be filled with light, happiness, and peace. Namaste.
Namaste.